CJEI. This is Professor Terrence Coffey. Y'all see I'm just getting here in the studio, but I got to tell y'all, I'm so excited to be here. And as y'all know, this is the Corner Boys, is the segment of this show that focuses on the empowerment, engagement, and upliftment of those of us who have been impacted by the criminal legal system and anti-cannabis enforcement. And today, you take it how you want. I got my main man, my partner, my dude, the one from what he said from the dirt, Keith Gaffin. Welcome to the show. That's day one.
Day one.
Day one. Listen, man, I want to thank you so much for being here on the show with us today.
Thank you.
I want to say to you now, I'm so impressed by the work that you have done and the work that you continue to do on empowering, impacting other individuals on the show X Factor. Since you know you got to have me on the show, because you know I love that. As you already know, I know.
On that next episode.
And we're super excited that you have taken the time to come here and share with us your work. And just to kind of give a bit of background for our audience, you're a graduate of CJEI, Cannabis Justice Equity Initiative 16-week program. You went on to graduate the program, land a role inside the cannabis industry, rose to the ranks of general manager, and you're doing a lot of other stuff in your way of giving back to founding and the creation of the X Factor show. But I think that in having this conversation and as we speak to the community, one of the things when we talk about returning citizens, I do want to ask, when you think about that transition for other individuals from your own life, what were some of those barriers that you were facing when trying to re-enter the workforce, and how did those challenges shape your approach to the opportunities within the cannabis industry?
Barriers, wow. So doing 16 years in federal prison, it took me out of the workforce. Right before going into prison, I was doing home remodeling and construction. So those 16 years kind of took me out of the loop of the current laws, the current codes. So when I came home, I did not have the skill set to make myself marketable. So what CJEI did, though, they helped me by putting me into the career, by giving me a career, by helping me understand the language of the field. So the biggest barrier was I did not have the skill set. I did not have the workforce anymore.
Well, I have to say something because, Jamil, one of the things we talked about with Jamil, and I always get, I think that this is that part where I've learned to push back, where when we talk about your lived experience, I know you moved weed back in the day. I know you was one of them boys back doing them things. And we talk about that skill set that we develop over a period of time. And one of the things we talk about are those transferable skills that, we did in the streets, but then you come into a space of this legalization in this. So as a graduate of CJEI, what specific knowledge or confidence did that program or the program itself give you that help you to move from a participant to an advocate to a general manager? Right. That's real.
Right. Well, I kind of touched on it before. So every industry, right, has its language, right? Even on the corner, right? We moving them packs, we got them things. You know what I'm saying? 5-0. That's the corner language, right? If I was to say mufflers and spark plugs, I'm talking about mechanics. So cannabis has its own language, when you start talking about cannabinoids and terpenes and things of that nature. So CJEI helped me with the language. And when I took the language with some of my organizational skills, some of my leadership skills, and put that in a package, it gave me the confidence to step into these arenas, right? To be able to step with some of these people that already was familiar with it, right? So it was the language helped me break that barrier. To know what cannabinoids are, to know, when I'm talking about the POS systems and, how to use Dutch and track and trace and seed the sale and all of this that's unique to the industry, That's what CJEI brought. It brought that language to help you move confidently into the industry.
Into those spaces when we're having those conversations.
Because now you know what everyone else is talking about. And if I was to go to a dentist's office and I start talking about, moving his appendix, they're going to look at me crazy. Like, this is, like, you don't come to
What conversation you in?
don't go to the dentist's office with an appendix.
I like
So-
cat coming on the block and he said something, we looking like, boy,
Yeah,
that language
and-
don't even sound right.
And it's like no matter what you did on the corner, right? The corner has its own language, but the business has its own language. And you need to be able to translate the corner language to the business language, right? We don't move packs anymore, we move units now. You know what I mean? It's a difference, you know, it's a
Boy,
difference.
I'm on the boy. You on that Jay-Z thing. I know Jamil in the studio somewhere. You know, that's that Jay-Z
now.
language. And one of the other things that I really want to kind of focus in on, the cannabis industry is often, it talks about a space for second chances. From your own lived experience, where do you see that promise really landing, and where does the industry still need to do better? Not only, and this is one thing, not only for returning citizens, but also for impacted community that caught the brunt of anti-cannabis enforcement during the height of that here.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, the beautiful part is that in the cannabis industry, and I hope I say this correctly, they will hire anybody. You know, it doesn't matter if you've been to prison. It doesn't matter if you got tattoos all over your body. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you have some type of people skills, some type of marketable skills, you will get hired. So that is very basic. The issue is when it comes to, and you talked about it earlier in your show, the influence when it comes to that table. When it comes to making these laws, when it comes to making these policies, when it comes to managing this money, you know, the reinvestment fund, these are the places where the corner boys need to be sitting at the table, where those impacted by the justice system really need to be sitting at the table so we can have a say in what happens to these things, like the funding and the laws. That's where you really will see a difference at, you know? When someone like me who did, you know, 16 years in prison, or even someone like yourself who's moving up, let me see you sitting at the legislation table, you know, and then it's really gonna get good, you know? Let's get us at those tables.
It really gets gravy. One of my mentors when I first came home myself after 19 years, Glenn Martin, said that those closest to the problem are also those closest to the solution.
No question,
And I think that we bring a lived experience from our communities that we understand and best know what our communities would need, and to be able to provide voices to our communities in those spaces and shaping policy, how funding is dispersed, how these programs are being set in our community. And now that and let me say this, now that you're in this leadership role, do you think differently about hiring, mentorship, or creating a workspace culture for justice impacted community, for the justice impacted community, or those who have been impacted by anti-cannabis enforcement?
I definitely do. So prior to my experience as general manager, I was program coordinator, teaching people how to get it and maintain a job. Now that I was the one actually, they were maintaining the job, I see the importance of standards. I see the importance of standard operating procedures, set in structure. A lot of us that are coming from prisons are used to structure, are used to time management, are used to things set in a certain way. When you give someone free range, sometimes, and they come from a structured environment, it's like a haywire. They don't know what to do. So now I lead from understanding. So I'm listening to what they need. I'm listening to where they're trying to go. I'm taking a coach approach. I'm trying to help them get there. But I'm also making sure that I set that structure so they can move, you know, from one space to the next with a clear path.
And with that said, as you know, this industry is set to create 60 to 80,000 jobs right here in New York State. We know it's going to,